going to talk all things movies. And good morning, Collie.
Good morning. I was just thinking, don't stop us. Me, like, usually it's the other way around. It is, please, Collie, stop.
Yeah, please stop. Come here. We're just saying off air there. It's a strange sort of a month this month. Not a lot of big hitters.
Yeah, well, I think part of it is because we're wedged in between a couple of massive hitters. So, like, Devil Wears Prada, still packing them out.
Yeah.
The movie that both you and I were slightly like lukewarm in, and shows you nobody on the station is listening to our advice anyway,
No.
Rory, because Michael...
Why break the habit of a lifetime?
Yeah, Michael is still absolutely jam-packed. It is packing them in still. And again, we were saying about cross-generation, and there are people coming to, getting phone calls. Is Michael still on? You go, it's not going anywhere for a couple of weeks. So I think for that reason, we have a lot of smaller releases. We have a few classics and things like that. Now, Star Wars, of course, is a big release, but of course, most cinemas now have several screens. And then we're coming up to then, next month we'll be talking Toy Story, Minions, all that sort of stuff is coming. So we have some interesting movies. Actually, I think to talk about, we've probably more curious ones rather than just massive blockbusters.
And two of the ones we're going to talk about set in Ireland.
Yeah.
And one with a big Donegal connection.
Big Donegal connection, which is Trad, which I must admit, I absolutely loved. But I was intrigued by because... So it's set in. It starts off in Donegal, and it's this girl, Shona, played by Megan
McNicola.
McNicola. There you go. She's from Gweedore. They're my people. I should be able to pronounce that. And then her little brother is a young lad called Dallin from Buncrana. So they're very talented musicians, but Mum is obviously a pushy stage mum, and she's just fed up with it, right? And she runs off with a bunch of hippies and travels around Ireland, ends up busking and stuff. Now, the thing is, when I was a young fella, Rory, if you told me trad music would be cool again among young people, I would have laughed at you. And not just trad music, but like Shano singing, the whole lot.
Yeah. It's huge.
It's huge. A couple of things. I wouldn't believe that would be popular again. I wouldn't believe Wolf Tones would be playing, to Electric Picnic. And I certainly wouldn't believe the sort of RUC moustache would be trendy again. That one I'm still not sure about. But it shows you everything has a cycle. But there's an embrace of Irish culture, and this is part of it. So it's very much aimed at everyone, but it's particularly young people. And it's just the brilliance of the musicianship is great, but it wouldn't work unless the story is good. So she's a really intriguing character, and she brings her little brother who shouldn't be on this trip with a bunch of hippies. Everyone's boozing and they're travelling around Ireland looking for money, and it's just laugh out loud, funny, and it's sweet and poignant. But just the talent. Do you know the way we were talking about Jafar Jackson with Michael about, okay, he can do the dancing and stuff, but obviously the singing has to be Michael, but you would know.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're watching this, you go, wow, everyone there is playing because they're that good. You couldn't fake it. You cannot fake that sort of music. So that's out at the moment. Very good it is too. But a new one that just opened yesterday is called 500 Miles.
This is the one with Bill Nye.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doing a pretty good Irish accent. And I have to say, when I saw the trailer...
I always worry when actors from the UK and especially the States.
Yeah.
And we all remember Tom Cruise and all the rest of them.
Brad Pitt as well.
Yes, that's right, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So you reckon... this one
and I must admit, when I saw the trailer, I thought it was a bit top of the morning. But I haven't seen the film now. It's much more. And I think he lives in Kerry in the film, but I don't think he's originally meant to be from Kerry. So it's kind of generic Irish accent. And it's about, again, it's two young boys who are growing up in England. They're very fond. They spent all their summers in Kerry with their grandparents, and things have gone badly in the family. The parents are warring the whole time, and the two lads decide they're going to run off and go and visit their granddad, which is kind of the Flight of the Doves, the old Irish movie, kind of very similar to that. And they go up. But one of the reasons this really works, Bill Nye and Maisie Williams also from Game of Thrones, who are great in it. However, it's the kids, and particularly, I think his name is Dexter Ansel. Now, people who watch the new Game of Thrones, the A Night at Seven Kingdoms, will know him. He's the young lad Egg in it. He's just a brilliant kid actor. And do you know what? He has that Macaulay Culkin thing of being able to be exciting and extrovert without being annoying. He doesn't have that stage annoying kid where it's all... tomorrow, but he is loud and funny, and he's making all the rude jokes and stuff like that. And he steals the show. Actually, both movies, it's the young lads who are kind of side characters in both 500 Miles and Trad that absolutely steal the show because they're what's the word? They're not precocious. They're not precocious. They're full of life and full of characters. And I think people will love it. Now, I have to say, 500 Miles is quite sad as well. It's quite poignant, and it's a lovely movie. Not just least because a lot of it's about going to see Funky, and Funky's not around anymore.
I know, yeah.
So there's a good bit of that.
Okay.
But I think they're two good, charming movies. And we're going to talk more now. We're going to go silly and blockbusters for the rest of the conversation.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of people listening.
But those are two Irish offerings and feel good for the most part.
And quality. And I think that's another thing. To fight into the cinema now, with all those big movies, if you're going to get an Irish movie into cinema, they have to be pretty good. That's one thing. The standard is really good. There was a time Irish movies were just kind of, they weren't great. We were kind of token stuff. This is really, really good.
So the bar has been set really
high.
high.
I think so. I think we've had really good Irish movies this year, and these are two more. Very good, very poignant. With the exception of Aidan Gillen and Trad, who's a bit over the top. But that's another story.
Okay. So that's 500 Miles and Trad. Those are the two Irish offerings in cinemas now. All right. We're going to go for a very quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk two re-releases that are, one of them is sort of right in the fun zone for me. We'll talk about those right after this. Don't go anywhere.
Get ready to...
In time, going back in time.
All right, the time is 12 minutes to midday. We are talking all things movies, and Collie McFadgen is in studio with me. Now, we really are going back in time. We are, because we're going back to 1996 with a re-release. Now, this really scared me. This really scared me that this movie is 30 years old. And I actually was surprised that it got a re-release as well. Space Jam.
Space Jam. Well, but I suppose the thing is, I was shocked that I just couldn't believe it was 30 years either, because I remember what a huge impact it has. And I tell you one of the reasons why, because I'm considerably older than you, Rory. And I remember the thing at the time is people kind of knew who Michael Jordan was, but mostly from the runner ads rather than NBA wasn't on the telly all the time. He wasn't as famous for basketball.
Well, not over here. No,
not over here. Whereas now
yeah.
there's a lot of people are into basketball culture. LeBron James is very famous. Particularly when younger people are watching it. Now they make me watching whole matches, but they're watching it on TikTok, etc.
Yeah.
But he was, but I knew his co-star was considerably more famous to me, which was Mr. Bugs Bunny. And when they were doing that, and it wasn't that, it was a couple of years after Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which is never re-released for some reason. That other work,
which is strange.
It was just strange. But when it came out, it really went rocketed the fame. Like, it really worked. And people thought, Michael Jordan, he won't be able to act or something. It didn't matter when you've co-stars like that to pull you through. And it was so popular, but it has lived on. And it's funny, they had the other one with Space Jam, The Next Generation or whatever it was called, with LeBron James, and it didn't hit the same. No. There's kids now who are watching the old Space Jam for whatever reason, and even though the animation isn't quite as shiny as the new one was, it obviously resonated.
But I think that's part of the charm.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
I think people don't want to see a 3D Bugs Bunny.
Am I wrong in saying that Bill Murray stole the show?
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Absolutely 100%. And I think, look, Bill Murray was always a comic actor, but the Bill Murray turns up for a few scenes and steal the show, things started there. Yeah. And then it happened with the Wes Anderson movies or Zombieland, where he goes, actually, I'll just do a couple of days. I'll come in, get all the best lines and head off again.
And no commitment given.
No commitment.
Nobody knew whether he was going to show up or not. No. And it was all improvised.
Yeah, but he can do that. And it was just perfect, and I really hit a theme. But I suppose if that one is I felt old with that one being 30 years old.
Yeah.
But 25 years since Shrek.
Yeah, that's really hitting hard.
Now I suppose unlike Space Jam, though, you said you never saw Space Jam. Would be re-released, but Shrek has never gone away, really, has it?
Well, that's the thing. It's had more of a presence.
Even despite Shrek 3 being absolutely awful. But Shrek 2 and 4 were pretty good. But I think, and we said this a little bit off air, one of the reasons is, most of the story is poking fun at fairy tales. And I suppose every kid learns fairy tales, so they get the joke. Each generation, your kids get the joke that you got at this when you saw Shrek for the first time, because we all know about the three little pigs and the blind mice and Granny and the big bad wolf and all that. So you get the jokes, and suddenly.
But Shrek had this unique thing where it amalgamated fairy tales and all the fairy tales that we know. This big mashup, and they sort of amalgamated that with pop culture.
Yeah, absolutely. The music was modern music. There was a couple of jokes. Some of the jokes I will have dated, like I was saying about Charlie's Angels and stuff like that, or the film at the time. But because, and it was Mike Myers doing a sort of Wayne's World stroke Austin Powers shtick, but as a Scottish ogre, and it really worked. And then of course Eddie Murphy doing the fast talking donkey and that sort of pop culture where they're taking the mickey out of the fairy tale world, but everyone's getting all the references, whether you're in China or whether you're in Buncrana, you get the references. And of course, here's the most important thing: it was funny. They weren't just going, haha, look, it's the big bad road. They had a joke about it, and it was very entertaining.
And it worked on all levels as well. It worked for the kids, it worked for the grown-ups.
Yeah.
That is the one that grown-ups don't have as much of a problem.
No, because
sitting down to watch with their kids.
And it's not some sort of in-joke just for the adults. Everyone's getting more or less the same joke. But like it works maybe on a different level, but it's the same joke. And like even when, I think it might be the second one, Goldilocks and the Three Bears being a crime gang, you just go, it's just great, because stole the porridge. You go, the kid enjoys that and the adult enjoys that.
And it was a bit of a trailblazer when it came out first. It was a bit of a trailblazer in terms of the animation.
Oh yeah,
it was another step up from the Pixar's, the Toy Stories and all the rest.
And I suppose if Pixar and Toy Story are trying to be very moral and so on, and Shrek's a bit of thumb your nose at it, isn't it? It was kind of bold and cheeky, wasn't it?
It was bold.
Yeah.
And not bold in the brave sense.
Yeah, it was bold and cheeky,
naughty,
and great fun. And I think, look, people are going to pack it's a rainy all day this weekend, and people are going to go and watch Shrek, because it's timeless. Because mum and dad are going, oh no, I'm guaranteed a good time, and there'll be some children, it'll be the first time seeing Shrek, and they will think it's a new movie because it hasn't dated.
Everyone's a winner. All right, another re-release.
Yeah,
Top Gun.
Now right up your street now.
Well, do you know what? Here's one for you.
Yeah.
I've never seen Top Gun.
You're kidding me.
You're
kidding me. I would have lost so much money because you're such an 80s boy.
I know.
You like all the music. Obviously, the music we play. You've played many of the songs from Top Gun here on the show. Well, you know what? Top Gun is still great, even in this era where maybe the gung ho American flag waving isn't as popular as maybe it once was. It still gets you, because again, the story is not that original, because if you've ever seen An Officer and a Gentleman that was only made a few more years ago, it's much more, it's a slicker, faster, but it's pretty much the same story, but it really catapulted Tom Cruise to be a megastar. That was the one. But also the style of movie, that the soundtrack had 5 or 6 songs, that there'd be a brilliant video. We were all watching on MTV. The video for the song was as important as the movie.
Yeah.
It had a soundtrack. Everyone
That was Jennifer Rush, wasn't it?
No, it was Berlin for
Berlin.
Take My Breath Away, but you'd Danger Zone with Kenny Loggins. And there was
right. Yeah,
there was a load of other ones. And you know what? There was a sequel that I didn't see coming, and so
it was a sequel that was talked about for so many
long.
years, but
and then when they came, you
go,
go, this is not going to work. And then because it was during COVID, it was supposed to come out, and they kept on putting it off. It was the first really, that and Bond were the 2 big releases that they kept on putting off. They said, no, we are waiting till the cinemas are back open. Yeah. And it came out, and
they timed it so well because the world needed that.
It needed
boost.
that feel good, optimistic. Everyone's a hero. Yeah. It is brilliant, and it really worked. And again, that one, like what we were saying about Shrek, what I was really shocked about Top Gun Maverick, I went, okay, old fellas like me are going to come see it and loved it, but again, generations of people went to see it and absolutely loved it.
Okay.
So both of them are out this week because Top Gun is 40.
Okay, so quite a bit of retro.
Yeah, a lot of retro this week.
Very quickly, I know it's not out yet, but the latest release from Disney, Star Wars, Mandalorian and Grogu. Now, here's the thing. I was a massive Star Wars fan. I'm one of those who maybe lost a little bit of interest when there's too many TV shows. But the one that really caught my interest was The Mandalorian. I've watched the TV show. It was really good with Baby Yoda, as he's known. Grogu's his name, but everyone knows him as Baby Yoda. And they really got it right. And I think that what they got right was the version of Star Wars that I fell in love with as a kid. It was kind of space pirates. And it was this sort of universe that was a bit rough and ready, but there was funny robots and funny characters, and little Baby Yoda doing his tricks was absolutely charming and funny. I think Star Wars needs this to be a big hit. It's kind of like the Avengers coming out. We had a bit of a lull with superhero movies and space movies. I think this has to be good, and I'm very optimistic that they're making the right story. We didn't need we will eventually get another Skywalker saga, as
story, but we had enough Jedis for a while. What we need is a big, fun popcorn movie like the original Star Wars. There wasn't no.
Well, there's no doubt it will do well.
Yeah, I think so. People like The Mandalorian. People
Because
love Pedro Pascal.
A lot of that Star Wars fatigue that did set in, it seemed to dodge that for some reason.
And I think it was because it wasn't all about, oh, this person is this person's father or son or second cousin removed. If I need that, I'll go back to Ghidorah. But it was, it was about, it's just a story and an adventure. And what we need is a big adventure. And that's people want to eat popcorn and have a good time. And I think it's going to do it. It's opening on Friday. I'm really looking forward to it.
Friday coming. Yeah. Okay, so we'll talk in a bit more detail about that when you're back with us.
We'll talk about that, Toy Story, and a couple other big ones.
There's lots of big hitters coming. All right, Collie, thanks for joining us as always. And that's where we wrap things up for this morning. Thanks to Roisin for her help on the programme. Thanks to Collie for joining us. Thanks for your requests and your dedications. Paul McDevitt's up next with the Saturday Shuffle, and I will talk to you next Saturday morning. We'll rewind all over again. Take care.